Oh, I'm here. Yeah. Let's talk windsurfing. First time I went windsurfing, now I already knew how to sail pretty darn well. I didn't think I'd have trouble windsurfing. I go up to Buddy John's. He's working. He's at BU, and I go up to BU. I'm gonna go windsurfing. I know I'm gonna get soaking wet. It's not the right place to learn to sail windsurf on the Charles anyway because the wind is so shifty, up and down, left and right. So, not an easy thing, but yeah, I think I'm up for the challenge. So I get up there, and I'm used to every other dock on the Charles River, whether it be the MIT sailing dock or MIT crew. Then you got the Harvard sailing dock. You got the Emerson dock. And we have, of course, Community Boating's big dock. And all these places, no problem. You jump off you can dive off the dock into the river if you dare. And of course, I always did. I'm quite familiar with swimming in the Charles. But anyway, in this case, I'm up at the BU dock, and I don't realize how shallow it is. I dive in off the BU dock. Nice dive. Now, I'm not stupid to go dive down. I'm down really quite a bit angled, which explains how the cut worked out. So I get cut on a rock, okay? Sharp piece of rock. It obviously isn't a piece of glass or anything because I get cut my whole length of my body from my upper chest. In fact, it was actually right, like above my, that spot there. Anyway, all the way down, down past my belt, not wearing one, but all the way down to the left of my crotch, and down by the waist areas where it's kind of a bit deep. So I'm bleeding. I come up out of the water. I'm bleeding all over the big line of blood. The top blood here seems like I can pat it dry, and it's like not gonna be profuse. Nah, whatever. It doesn't look that bad, and I really haven't looked hard enough at what's going on down by my waistband, and it's not so good down there. But I pat it all off. It looks okay, and I'm not openly bleeding. So I take brown paper towels and I duct tape brown paper towel. I got a first aid kit, so. Anyway, so that's what I do. The duct tape and towels on the chest there, that doesn't work. But it does the more important place down in my waistband area. And what do I do next? I go to the nurse. No, I go out windsurfing for an hour and a half. I learned to windsurf on the child, and I'm already bloodied. So I do have fun out there. But then I'm like, I probably could be out for a little longer, but maybe I should take care of my wound. So I get in, and the scabs on the chest, that wasn't that recovered a little bit, easy enough. But I probably should have stitches done down below, and I didn't. So now I have a scar, it's only about an inch and a half. Represents my first day of windsurfing. Heck, isn't windsurfing tough enough on those days? The original board, the center board, wasn't movable, and it was only one shape, not really set up for heavier winds. Later on, they came up with a Z board that's angled back, and that was a bit better. The sail, the boom was a beautiful wishbone, the teak boom, laminated teak. At least I thought it was teak. And beautiful, but way too friggin' long. Insane. What we thinking? Unbelievable. So a long clue. Let's go high aspect ratio next time. Okay, which they do now. So anyway, the mast only was in one spot, and it was in a hole, and the wooden plug went in the hole, and never seemed to stay in there when you do this thing called pulling up or uphaul. Instead of the sail coming up, sometimes the mast plug would come right up into your nuts. Ouch. Ouch. So you learn from doing or seeing, and so I noticed, what people did is they actually glued or fixed the plug into the mast step, and then attached the sail to the universal joint. It meant wherever the board went, the universal joint, for where the mast always stayed on the board, saved a few aching injuries there. Okay, and then they learned to get smaller sails, or at least shorter clews, and then they came up with adjustable mast tracks. Are you kidding me? Amazing! So now you can adjust the track, and it's amazing how far back the straps would go. The original Windsurfer, you didn't need straps that far back. But holy moly, these things are taken off, and now there's kiteboarding and all that. But that was my first day of windsurfing, the old school windsurfer. I gotta finish off by saying the stupid board, the centerboard or dagger board, in windy weather, you'd take it off. It had a little strap on it. So I'd put the strap right, it'd go through my hand and onto my forearm. And now I'm windsurfing, with this freaking guillotine swinging back and forth, kind of dangerous. But once you've been through that, then you're ready for the other little thing I've done. I've had animals. I've had a number of mid-sized dogs on my windsurfers and in my double kayaks. But you learn on a long day. Where do you put the beer? Where do you put your libations? Okay. Okay, maybe someone else wants a water bottle. Okay, I'll give you that. Where do you put it? Okay. Well, the sock. Okay. A long, long sock. Okay. A knee sock, not an ankle sock. And those sock tubes are what you put your beers in. I put 3 beers in each tube and each sock tube. And then you got to have it balanced right. So you would have to hang the 3 beer sock up on one side of the boom and one up the other side right by the mast. And then you have to drink balanced, right? If you're gonna drink one on one side, you can drink on one on the other. We wouldn't want to go without liquor. I mean, sorry, liquid out there in the open ocean or wherever we are. Yeah, that was my little beer trick for windsurfing and staying hydrated.